The societies are more general society, like you might have something like American Cancer Society. So they would support all different types of cancer research. Leukemia Lymphoma Society only really supports research on leukemias and lymphoma, and that would be for both adults and pediatrics. There are certain pediatric-specific societies which are great too, like Alex's Lemonade Stand, St. Baldrick's Foundation, and they only support pediatric cancer research. So those are great too. But we utilize all the sources of private foundations that have monies available to be able to make our labs go. Because we have to. A lot of people kind of wonder, well, how much does it cost? So a modest-sized lab is probably over $500,000 a year, and a pretty decent-sized lab would be over $1 million a year. Because one of the things we have to do, even though Hopkins defines how much we get paid depending on where we are at rank, assistant professor gets paid a certain amount, associate, full professor gets paid a certain amount, but they don't actually give us that money. That money mostly comes out of the grants. That's the only way they can really afford to do it. And so we're paying our own salary and benefits, the graduate students, the postdoctoral fellows, the technicians in our laboratories, as well as all the supplies. If you use mice in your experiments, all of those costs have to come out of the grants. So research, unfortunately, it's very expensive.
And you're still all your PhDs in the lab that are amazing. It helps enormously. It is greatly, greatly appreciated.
So what is your opinion, because we know about, there are 39 current FDA-approved chemotherapies and regimens on the market since 2000. And through the research that LLS has helped to fund, approximately half of those were found through blood cancer research funded by LLS that are treating a host of other cancers. You know, their whole thing right now is with this targeted therapy. So do you feel like people putting their research dollars into the work that LLS is doing, how helpful do you being the doctors and the researchers, what do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, the leukemia has always been ahead of the curve because we have easier access to our tumor. Since it's a liquid tumor, we're able to get those samples out from blood, peripheral blood, or bone marrow. So we've kind of always been ahead of the solid tumor people, but a number of those drugs have been proven to be important in solid tumors as well. With a lot of the targeted therapy now, so that's targeting mutated genes that are known, some of the genes are in common between leukemias and other tumors, but some of them are very specific to leukemias only. So finding those drugs wouldn't necessarily help, and vice versa. And that's why I think it'll always be important to have a society that in particular emphasizes blood cancer research, because you know, they're relatively rare compared to this. You know, the big tumors are the ones in adults that are prostate, breast, lung, and colon. And those ones hugely outnumber leukemias and lymphomas. And so it's great to have a society that emphasizes those kinds of, you know, leukemias and lymphomas, because it can be hard to compete in a general pool against people that do research on much more common type of malignancy.
Right.
But yeah, we've helped them a lot over the years. Things that we've learned in leukemia have gone on to be applied to other types of tumors.
So we know the stats about leukemia being the #1 killer of children and young people under 20. If you had to guess about, you know, the number of kids that come in here, would you say that leukemia is typically the cancer that they have?
40% of all pediatric malignancies are leukemia. It's by far the biggest kind of piece of the pie if you look at children with cancer. And fortunately, we do pretty well with ALL, acute lymphoid leukemia, where the overall cure rate is, I guess, close to 80% now is the kind of number that we would quote. Certain low-risk disease, it can be close to 100%, you know, 90% in certain categories. The high-risk categories, it's maybe more in the 70 to 80% range, so that overall it's probably about 80% or so. AML we still don't do nearly as well with. That's much harder to treat, but we're hoping now with adding the molecular targeted therapies together with the best current therapies that we have, that we're going to see those cure rates come up.
That's awesome. Our girl of the year, Kaylee Lavelle, she's our girl of the year. She lives in Ridgely, and she was treated here. She also had ALL.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you work at the society?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
You are